Sweet. Hey y'all, Tommy Taylor with the Lone Star Montgomery Art Gallery, and this is Spring 2022's first solo exhibiting artist, Alessandra Albin. And you want to give us a little background on you?
Yes, of course. I'm Alessandra Albin. I was born in Mexico. I had my grandmother that was German, another one was from Austria. One of my grandparents was from Prague, and both my parents Italian. So I have all these different cultures in me, and I have the opportunity of expressing all those cultures in my sculptures.
And you came from Mexico, or you grew up there mostly? Or?
Yes, I was living there all my life. I lived there all my life, and 22 years ago, I came to Houston, and I started being a teacher in a school, international school here in Houston. But I decided to quit 2 years ago and start really doing my sculptures, my art. And that is what I'm doing now.
Nice, started ramping it up. I ran across her when I first got here out of my own curiosity. I went around to every studio I could find in Houston, every studio building, especially in Sawyer Yards, Hardy and Ann's, Mother Dog, everybody. And she was towards the top of my list. And so I was, when I became the new gallery director, coordinator here, I wanted to reach out to her quickly, and hopefully she would say yes, and she did. So I'm super thrilled about that.
Yes, you went to my studio, and there you go. It's in Silver Street Studios. It's Studio 322, and I am open 2 Saturdays a month, second and third Saturday every month.
Yeah, and you should definitely check it out. It's the largest or the most dense collection of art studios I've ever seen, and that's including areas like Leipzig and Berlin, or the Spinner Factory and other places, or New York. It's hundreds of studios.
And we open up the studios, and you can go and talk to the artist, and the artist is going to be there to answer all the questions you need, and it is quite fun.
Yeah.
Fun day.
So if we don't touch on something in this short little introductory Q&A, then you can feel free to reach out and meet her.
Of course.
Yeah. So do you? A lot of people's first questions, a few students have been coming through and asking, is just general process and how these are made. So are you using models? Or you want to talk about that?
To have a model, yes, I can use a model, but who wants to come into your studio and say, oh yes, here is my body, do whatever you want. So the thing that I do is to do a body in plasticil.
Okay.
Plasticil is the same dough that you use in lower school.
Okay.
Or in kindergarten.
So is it like a better form of Play-Doh kind of?
Exactly, it's a Play-Doh. I don't like to play with clay, because the clay dries my hands, and it's something I cannot stand.
Okay.
I hate it.
Gotcha.
So that is the way I do it, with plasticil, and on top of the plasticil, I start working with clay, plaster.
Okay.
And on top of the plaster, I work with paper. And after the paper is paint and glues and resins and marble powders and things like that to make it hard. And then I start using the fabric, and I treat the fabric, and I put it on. So it's layer and layer and layer and layer that is going to dry every time. That is the most part of the process, is waiting for it to dry. And it can take 3 weeks, 4 weeks to do a sculpture, because you have to wait for it to dry. So I work 3 or 4 at the same time. So this is drying, I go to the other one, and so on and so on. And when I start with the first one, it's already dry, and I continue working it layer after layer after layer.
Nice. That's a great pro tip if you haven't figured it out yet, budding artists out there. That if anything takes like a certain amount of time longer than you would prefer, always do several so you can always bounce between them. That
And
is
also
huge pro tip.
patience.
Yeah.
Patience. All my students, after being a teacher for all my life, patience is number 1.
Because you can overwork and ruin stuff pretty quickly.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So you have to be really intentional about finding definition in your forms, I would think.
Yeah.
If you're basically, what we're seeing is the third layer, it seems.
Yeah.
So to have definition after all those layers, you have to keep that very specific.
Yes, and many times you have a sculpture and it doesn't come out the way you want it. So leave it. Leave it 1 week, 2 weeks, and then you go back. Or maybe you are watching TV and you see an image and you say, oh, of course.
An athlete or
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Another pro tip and benefit to working in multiples at the same time is that you don't get locked onto one piece, and you don't have all your eggs in one basket, especially psychologically. So if something isn't working out, you don't get, what's the right word, unmotivated or
Frustrated.
angry or whatever.
Oh, yes, you get
Yeah.
frustrated,
So,
but it
yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, so that way, especially if you're going to take risks with your work and experiment and grow, some pieces should be failing. And so if you're working in multiples, that way you're always allowed that room of some pieces working and then some not, and then that's okay. And you just keep going.
Yeah.
That's a part of being, I think, in my opinion, a professional artist.
Yes, yes, for sure, and lots of work. You have to work. If you don't work, your talent goes down the drain.
Yeah.
You have to work.
Do you feel like if you haven't worked in a while, that when you go back to the process, that you're kind of like
Stop.
finding,
Yes.
you have to get warmed up again? And,
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. And believe me, after 20 years of not working my stuff, the first day that you are in blank, the second day you are blank, the third day, and so on and so on. And then you start working, and it's the most wonderful thing ever.
Yeah. People don't, it's so weird in terms of creative areas. People don't think about like warm-ups. I think of the arts and like athletics as very similar in a lot of ways, and you kind of have to like warm up, get back in. Don't expect just because you have this grand idea that it's just gonna
Come out immediately? No.
You gotta be warmed up.
Patience.
Patience. Yeah. So someone was asking me, there's a torso over here. There's kind of like a half bare torso and then a shirt on top. So I guess you made the torso first and
Yes.
then that dried and
Yes.
then
I dress it up.
and then
Yes.
okay, so you have the wet plaster and what else? What else do you put in the shirt? You said paint and plaster?
Yes, paint, plaster, glues.
Okay, just Elmer's or just?
Elmer's glue is one of them, and another one is wood glue.
Oh, okay.
And then the paint, and I mix the paint with the glue and makes a.
Nice. Okay.
It like makes all together, and it makes it stiff and hard and everything.
This is the fun part of sculpture world here, because I'm not thinking about mixing glue and paint in paint world, but in sculpture world that sounds amazing.
But I did it also with paint, with acrylics. You mix it with Elmer's glue, and it gives you a different shining to things. Oh, you have to try that.
Nice. Okay. that sounds good. I tried mixing, when I was an undergrad, I got a 5-pound ball of silly putty from Crayola, and I tried mixing acrylic paint into it. It did not work.
It didn't.
So you always want,
You have to
any
be
new
careful.
idea, do little test samples beforehand.
Because the wood glue,
Yeah.
you cannot mix it with paint.
Yeah.
Not at all. It
Okay.
makes,
All right.
I don't know, it separates it.
But you found the right balance of.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yes.
and another, brilliant kind of tried and true art call or decision is all of your pieces within one piece. They're all the same color.
Yes.
And so that's another great way. If you're mixing different materials or different processes, one way to kind of make it all go together and be a little bit more uniform
It's
is
the same
color. And so,
It's the same color.
and neutral is a great way, and it kind of mimics skin tone a little bit. So like that all kind of fits together for
Yes,
what you're
it
working on.
does. But also, I work bronze.
We see a little
Bronze,
foot in the
wood.
video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bronze, wood, stone. But stone and wood, it's so dirty that I cannot do it in my studio because everything gets all the powder. So I am calm with that one. Yes.
Or you do it in another place, or.
But I work also terracotta, and of course movement has to be in my pieces. Everything has to move, has to have life in it.
Nice. So are any of these from initially or at any point off of a model, or are they...
Off of a model, yes, that one.
Okay.
Yes, it was. My cousin came
Okay.
to visit, and I said, "You are going to lend me your body."
People you know are so much easier
Yes.
to approach.
For instance, my daughter was pregnant, and I made a cast on top of her, and I did a special sculpture for her, so she remembers the time that she was pregnant.
Oh, that's nice.
So yes, it was very private, of course.
Yeah.
I am not going to show that, but it is fun to work with somebody. Yes, it's fun. But if I don't have somebody, I just do it in plasticine.
Nice. And if you keep these different mold pieces, if you really wanted to play around or get more abstracted or crazy, you could play with piecing them together in different ways. It's like this infinite.
That is what I do.
area.
And also, this material is so noble that you don't like something, you just saw it, and you put another piece there, and you join things together. It depends on what you want.
These are, when we were installing these, what surprised me was that two things really surprised me is that they're, aside from the bronzes, they're very light. They're very easy to move around, but they're not brittle. I mean, you don't want to drop or throw things on them, but they are more rigid than you would expect and light.
Now, why? I can tell you why. Because this technique is called gesso impalmato, is an Italian technique that they used to do the masks in Venice. So when you use a mask in drama, it has to be hard enough that you can throw it on the floor and nothing happens.
Nice. So okay, say that again. So it sounds like gesso is the
Gesso impalmato is gesso,
with
with
whatever.
blah blah blah.
Whatever you want.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
No? But the base is the gesso.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. See,
Yes.
this is another. Great.
There you go.
So is there anything else you want to throw in here before we?
Oh, I can continue
I know,
talking,
yeah,
but
we should keep it within, a quick taste, I guess.
No,
But,
I'm okay.
All right. But hopefully, if you came by today at 1, you caught our little reception and you got to meet her. If not, go by Silver Street and touch base.
Please
and,
do that.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no,
It was a surprise and very nice surprise.
Yeah, no, this is
Thank
great.
you.
It's always, you never know exactly how things are gonna look until you have it up, and I'm pleasantly
Yes.
surprised.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, cool. All right, see you later.
Bye.
Okay. Yay.